Alright, so we got a raw photo here that I took with my fiance at a park the other day. It's a nice photo. It's crisp. I like the focus, but not a huge fan of necessarily the coloring and the ugly contrast that we are going on. The very distracting shadows caused from the overhead sun due that it was midday. So I'm gonna try to fix that and make it look more happy, cheery, and softer. Using homemade filters from photos that I get off of Google. I'll show you how to do that. Alright, so because this is raw photo, I'm going to be editing in Camera Raw 7 as opposed to Lightroom. If it were JPEG, I would have edited in Lightroom. Because it's raw, it's just easier and quicker, and I actually like the Camera Raw editing software better than Lightroom. So we're just going to start off with really subtle adjustments right here to kickstart the process. We're just going to touch up the warmth a little bit. Like I said, I don't like the shadows. They're very distracting. So we're going to try to eliminate that. Vibrance is just taken up a little bit. There isn't much I'm going to do here. I did want to show you how the sharpening has an effect on the photo. This is original. If I were to shoot in JPEG, there just isn't a lot of data to collect in JPEG, whereas RAW there's a lot more data collected. You can see it looks in focus. It looks alright, but when you bring up the sharpening, you can just see how much more clarity is brought through the image. It makes the image look that much more high quality and professional. So that's definitely something that I like to do to enhance the image. There isn't a lot more that I need or want to do. The rest I can do with the filters, which is what I'm going to show you right now. Open image. Alright, that's up. Alright, I pulled off a lot of basically colors and textures in bokeh off of Google Images. I've got some bokeh images here. I've got just plain colors and hues. And then I've got actual textures right here. I may use a texture, I haven't really decided yet. I'm going for a very soft look with this photo, and by adding texture it adds grunge, which is kind of the opposite direction of what I want to do. But to start off, we are going to be adding in some lens flare, not necessarily lens flare, but some brighter colors and hues for where the sunlight is coming from. So basically what we do is stretch the color all the way over the canvas. We come over to screen. That's probably what I'm going to be doing right now. Sometimes I use soft light, which doesn't work for this photo because of the ugly saturation and weird things it does to the photo. But each photo does something different depending on what you do. So you just want to play around. Lighting definitely does not look good. So for this project, I'm going to be using screen for a lot of these, if not all of them. Alright, well, it looks cool. It doesn't look great by any means. So what we're going to do, drop the opacity, not too much, because I like the way it looks, and I have the end goal in mind, so I know what it will look like. So what we're going to do here is take them over to our eraser, and because I want the light source coming from probably the top left corner, I'm going to basically erase all the places where I don't want the color. Maybe I erased too much. So maybe drop opacity. It just takes a lot of playing around with it to kind of get the feel for when to change your opacity on the brush, how far to bring down your opacity in the entire image. I think that looks good for now. So that's just one. Actually, I might, before I'm done with this layer, I'm going to come over to photo filter, and I'm going to change this filter to a little more warmth. Keep luminosity on. And honestly, I think it's good right about there. Alright, next layer. Probably going to add on about 3, 4, maybe 5 of these colors. Probably actually, you know what I'm going to do is actually duplicate this layer to right about there. add more flare and brightness in the corner. Now I'm going to take my eraser again, just like I did the first one. Bring opacity up. So get rid of these edges. That doesn't look no good. There. Okay. I think that looks good right about there. Alright, now I'm going to add in a new layer. I want to add in some bokeh because I think that enhances the image, makes it look a lot more interesting, and is honestly actually quite unique. You don't often see bokeh added into an image like the way I'm going to. So perhaps something, trying to decide which direction I want it to come from. Probably something like this. You don't have to always cover the canvas. You can just erase the edges. In this case, I'm probably going to have it right around there. Now, I'm thinking soft light might look better for this one, just because it pretty much just brings out the bokeh and not necessarily colors. Actually, that looks kind of cool. That actually looks really cool. What I'm going to do, though, is drop the opacity and drop the fill. Okay, now take my eraser again, same drill, take away the edges. There's a little too much bokeh going on, so I'm going to try to eliminate some of that because it's too distracting. I pretty much just want very subtle hints of bokeh. Don't want to over the subject, that's distracting. So I think this looks pretty good. Okay, maybe bring it back up a tad. Okay. I like the way that looks. I might add in a different bokeh. Probably this one. Now this one, because of the purpley pinkish colors that are going on here, I chose this on purpose to add more saturation and a vintagey feel to the photo. So you'll see what I mean in a second. Screen. Okay, see how so let's rasterize this. You can see now it looks very bland here. This is helping bring out more of a vintagey, really kind of a unique, soft look to the image. Now it's overbearing right now, so we can fix that. Bring down opacity again. It gets kind of tedious after a while, but it's fun once you get the hang of it. Okay, so that looks kind of cool. That actually looks really cool. I actually really like the way that looks. So now I want to balance it out a little bit. By that I mean I want to bring in some cooler tones as opposed to having all warmer tones. So let's see what we have in here for colors. Honestly, I might even use this bokeh again and just use this top right corner to cool off the image a tad. If we did something like this. And for this one is a good example. I'm not going to use the whole canvas. Just use enough. Now I want to bring out the blue, so I'm going to play around with the different settings to see which one will help cool off, because I think screen will basically, it just gives me the bokeh, not necessarily the blue. Might not even work with this one. Might work with that, let's see. No, hard overlay. That works a little bit. Still not a big fan of it. Let's try a different one. Let's try this. Okay, this I think will help add some darker tones. Screen or soft light. Okay, now what I'm going to do is come into rasterize in order to adjust. Now photo filter, I'm going to add in a cooling filter. Hopefully this will do the trick. Yeah, here we go. It adds more of almost fairy tale-esque, I don't know if that's a word, feel to the photo, as opposed to just having it all these warm colors. I like to balance it out a little bit to make it more interesting to look at. So we're going to do the same thing as we always do, erase the edges. Cool. Now that's starting to look really cool. Now what you'll notice is the bird and the hand, which is my main focus, is starting to get washed out, and the whole image is starting to get washed out, and the focus isn't necessarily on the bird anymore. So what we want to do to remedy that is unlock our base layer, double click on it. Now we're going to duplicate that layer, bring this layer to the top. Now we're going to drop opacity just a tad. Now we're going to do the opposite of what we have been doing. We're going to erase around the hand. Okay, that looks pretty good, right? Well, now there's a little too much focus on the bird and it looks unnatural. So we're going to drop to make it blend a little nicer. There. I think that looks about right. Now you can see the difference what that made. That's what it did look like before we added in the duplicated layer. The duplicated layer just helps to establish the focal point and bring back some of that contrast. So we did that. Honestly, thinking is looking really good right now, and I'm not sure if I want to overwork it. I'm liking the colors that are going on right now too. We got some purpley tints in here. Let's see if I can do anything else about it. Might erase. There we go. That's what I wanted. Just a little bit. Erase this layer of the orange tint to bring in some of that purple. Not too much, I want it to come across. Okay, now if you want to get really fancy, we could bring in, oh gosh, I forget what it is, lens flare. Just search for it. Automate, that's right. Come into automate, we can come up with a, where'd it go? Lens correction, lens flare. Sorry. Render, okay. Render, lens flare. I'm not usually a fan of artificial lens flares, but I just want to see what it looks like. Yeah, 5300 probably. Okay, not too bright, just want to make it look. Okay, it didn't really do anything. Yeah, I don't like that, so we're just going to do away with it and go with what we got here. And last thing to do is place my watermark. That's important. There we go. And place it right here. I hope this helped you guys out as a new and creative way to edit an image and make it stand out from the original look of it. As you can see, it looks a lot more cheery and professional grade. So I hope this inspires you to do something of this nature and to kind of enhance your photos. My name is Bean Art Photography. You can visit me at beanartphotography.com or visit my Facebook page at facebook.com/beanart. Alright, I hope this helped. Thanks, guys.